Good morning and happy Tuesday, everyone. So before I begin, let's get to my low, my high, my act of kindness. I would say that my low is I did kind of get into an argument with my mom. Not like to the point where it would ruin my day, but at the very least, I finally did get to share something I've been meaning to tell her for a while. And it didn't really go as well as it really should have. But my high is it felt so great to have a Monday and it didn't feel cold and rainy. Seriously, like yesterday was darn, almost perfect. And my act of kindness is that I ran some errands for my grandmother yesterday. So, with that out of the way, there actually is something I did want to talk about. I've been meaning to talk about this for a couple of days now. Because if you recall, last Thursday, I was going to be in for a really busy day. Because I had a very important dinner for my late grandfather because he was celebrating a Lifetime Achievement Award for all his work he did for an organization called United Way. And then I was going to go see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And provided that the movie ended not before midnight, I would make it to essentially my folks' place just in time to watch the very first 2 episodes of a new show called Unicorn Warriors Eternal. 2 out of those 3 things I was able to do. It was like, I already missed because Unicorn Warriors Eternal was going to premiere like the first 2 episodes, and I already missed the entirety of the first one, so I was just going to find any other way to watch it later, and I have. So, if you don't know what the show is, this is the newest show that's premiering on Cartoon Network, specifically on Adult Swim, and it was created by Genndy Tartakovsky. Now, if you don't know who Genndy Tartakovsky is, well, for one thing, if you don't know who he is, you should probably turn in your 90s fanboy or fangirl card, number 1. But, since I'm nice, I'll be happy to explain. Genndy Tartakovsky is arguably the greatest animator of our time at the moment. He is responsible for a lot of the greatest shows Cartoon Network has ever produced. Well, not a lot, but a couple. For starters, he created Dexter's Laboratory. Now, maybe I did explain this in the video a while back, but the series, the original run that Genndy Tartakovsky was a part of was supposed to end with the Cartoon Network original movie Ego Trip. And I actually put Ego Trip on my Mount Rushmore of Cartoon Network original movies. So, this was, and keep in mind, this is like 90s Genndy Tartakovsky. His designs were much more simple. Kind of like shapes you could recognize, kind of slightly blocky, but not so much. Very sleek. Very, very simple. Basically, he definitely follows the logic of, like, the more simple your character's design, the more you can do with them in the realm of animation. And he always did he was doing a great job with that, even in Dexter's Lab. But I can't talk about Genndy Tartakovsky without talking about arguably his greatest work, for the moment, Samurai Jack. Now, I actually just mentioned Samurai Jack a couple days ago, and how, as a fanboy, I can tell you, and one that stopped contemplating suicide, I can tell you that I was alive to see Samurai Jack end. I witnessed Samurai Jack return to the past and undo the future that is Aku. I got to see it. And For a while, I was actually really hesitant on putting Samurai Jack in my S tier of like great finales and show endings and stuff like that, or movie endings, simply because we had to wait over 11 years before we actually got the ending. For those of you who don't know, Samurai Jack got canceled literally the season after it won an Emmy. Literally, it wins an Emmy and then it gets canceled. And we weren't really given an explanation as to why. But it eventually came back, so I can forgive it. Hey, come on, it's Samurai Jack. So, needless to say, there's that. He also came out with two other shows, Symbiotic Titan, which I didn't really get to see much of, and I was gonna give it a chance thanks to the Blockbuster Buster, but it was from him I learned that the show got canceled simply because they wanted to sell toys, which is ridiculous. I mean, listen, for those of you who don't know, back in like the 70s, like late 70s and early 80s, if there was a cartoon, chances are it was promoting a toy. Honestly, I mean, definitely any show could be producing a toy if it really wanted to. But we live in a day and age where you think we wouldn't need that anymore. I'm saying. And the final show that Genndy Tartakovsky produced up until now was Primal. I never really got a chance to watch because it's on Adult Swim and it's on really, really late. So I never really watched it. But I hear it's really good. And in every show I've seen, seen clips of, from Dexter all the way to Primal, it's very clear that while Genndy Tartakovsky's art style has evolved tremendously, he knew what to keep. He knows what works. He stuck to his guns while also implementing some new stuff he's learned over the years. Oh, I should also probably tell you, Genndy Tartakovsky also directed the Hotel Transylvania movies, which, to be perfectly honest, I kind of wish he didn't because they're Happy Madison films, and we all know how we all feel about Happy Madison, ladies and gentlemen. They're not very good movies. None of them are. I mean, okay, well, admittedly, for whatever reason, my mom was watching the end of Big Daddy, and I mean, the end of Big Daddy gets pretty emotional, I guess. But it's still not a very good movie. Anyway, now we get to his newest show, Unicorn Warriors Eternal. From the very beginning of the show, I was hooked right away. I think Genndy Tartakovsky has legitimately reached the pinnacle of what he can do in terms of both an animator and a show creator. Because, as I said before, his style may have evolved, but he knew what to keep, and he's been keeping it ever since. Because, again, the least complex you draw your characters, the more you can do with them in terms of what they do. And I love that. I mean, every design here is just so simple, yet so sleek. Expressive, yet subtle. This is really the kind of show that, well, for one thing, I have yet to see any reason why this show needs to be on Adult Swim. They easily could show the show during the daytime. Because I haven't really seen any cursing. I haven't really seen much in the realm of sheer violence or blood or gore or anything. Oh, trust me, Genndy Tartakovsky can do gore. Final season of Samurai Jack, anyone? Well, not gore, but, blood. The point is, there's no reason for the show to be on as late as it is, but I'm going to continue to watch it just because, it's Genndy Tartakovsky. He is, you really could argue that at this time, he is the GOAT. I mean, if he isn't already, I would put him right up there with the likes of Tex Avery and Walt Disney. That's how good of an animator he is. And speaking of his character designs, it's very clear that a lot of what he got reference from was from like the overexpressive character designs of like a little bit of early Disney, a little bit of like that sort of 50s, 60s kind of feel where like characters are just expressed like, and it's very old school. Like, this is stuff you'd see like in a really, probably like in Looney Tunes actually. Not like the actual antics that goes on in the show. Not that there are antics, but like character expressions, designs, movement. This is about as sleek as you could ever hope for animation to be. And we're only 2 episodes in, and he's knocked it out of the park. And I haven't even gotten into the premise of the show, have I? Well, basically, there is an evil that plagues the world. And once every generation, a robot from the future, brought by Merlin, named Copernicus, arrives to bestow the life and memories to 3 individual people. That gives the memories of the 3 warriors that always fight, the evil that plagues the world. You have a monk that's actually able to see through time and space. You have what appears to be an elven warrior who's really great with a sword. And the character that we seem to be focusing on most at the moment is a character named, her name is Emma, I believe, if I remember correctly. But the warrior's name is Melinda. Basically, a very powerful sorceress that deals with black fire. And that's, like, her design definitely explains what I've been telling you before. It's a simple design, but because it's so simple, you can do so much with it. And it's really working here. And we're focusing on this girl because she became the sorceress known as Melinda right as she was about to get married. So now she's going through an existential crisis of like, who am I? Was I that girl that was about to get married to a nice man? Or am I really the sorceress that's meant to battle like an evil that's thousands of years old? Because again, every generation, the robot bestows upon the life and memories of these 3 warriors. In terms of the cast, I don't really recognize many people outside of the fact that the original Melinda was voiced by a Grey DeLisle Griffin. Which, if you don't know, Grey DeLisle Griffin was, Azula from Avatar: Last Airbender, Vicky from Fairly Odd Parents, Mandy from The Green Adventures of Billy Mandy. That woman has pedigree out the door. Actually, she was also a Miss Chalice in the Cuphead show. So, Grey DeLisle Griffin, we love her. She's got credits out the wazoo. Honestly, if you're a Grey DeLisle fan, she's only the character she voices is really only in for like maybe a minute or 2, but I still check it out. So, do I recommend the show? Absolutely. I think if you want to see this might be one of the greatest animated shows I've ever seen. I mean, it's a little early to tell. Because, listen. Unicorn Warriors Eternal is going to have a tall order to try and surpass Amphibia as my all-time favorite show. For that matter, it's going to have a hard time surpassing any one of my top 3 at the moment. But again, we're only 2 episodes in. Right, I should probably tell you. I would say that my top 3 animated shows for the moment right now are Ed, Edd n Eddy, Steven Universe, Amphibia. Ed, Edd n Eddy, first of all, the title alone just made me I want to see the show. And I thought Ed, Edd n Eddy was one of the funniest shows I'd ever seen, period. Seriously, I'll watch old Ed, Edd n Eddy clips. I'm part of the Facebook group that's nothing but fans of Ed, Edd n Eddy, And I see them quote the show all the time. So love that show. Steven Universe was the first show I really thought, okay, with Samurai Jack not finishing what it was supposed to do, and you do have shows like Regular Show and Adventure Time, but I thought Steven Universe was the very first show I ever saw since Ed, Edd n Eddy, where I'm like, I'm going to watch a Cartoon Network show and I love it. And then you have Amphibia where, I mean, listen, I have 58 videos dedicated to each and every episode of the show. To say that it's my favorite show of all time is a gross understatement. And I really could make the case that Amphibia is the best show Disney Channel's ever made. Although there is a show called Haley's on it that I'm definitely going to check out. But we'll get to that when we get to that. For now, I can definitely say to Genndy Tartakovsky and the good people who work for you, who made this great show, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. I'm very much looking forward to where this goes. I'm very much looking forward to where the story takes us. I'm very much looking forward to seeing more of Genndy Tartakovsky's animation style. Plus, right now, I definitely say what's got me hooked story-wise is the character of Emma/Melinda. Because this is the first time in the fact that the Warriors have been brought back where you have one of them questioning who they are. And when your enemy at the moment appears to be an evil fox that can bring giant dead elephants back to life, yes, it's that kind of show. Doubting who you are is something you can't afford. And I want to see where it goes next. So I hope you like this video. If you did, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on social media. As always, I am very humble to make this video for all you guys to watch and enjoy today. Hopefully a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. And remember, if any of you guys want to talk or chat, we'll be here to lend you all your back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.